Welcome to the FarrCast and this week's special Thanksgiving edition. Now here's your host, Michael Farr.
Welcome to the FarrCast. I am Michael Farr. Thanks so much for joining us again this week. It is the 27th day of November. Tomorrow's the 28th, and it is Thanksgiving. So I have just a brief Thanksgiving message for you, a little bit of analysis from markets and what I'm seeing as we enter this wonderful holiday, perhaps my most favorite holiday of the year, and getting into the holiday Christmas, Hanukkah season coming into December. So we look around and we have a great deal, ladies and gentlemen, and dear listeners, for which we should be very, very thankful. Markets are trading near all-time highs. Interest rates are still relatively low. Inflation seems to have been tamed by now, finally, effective policy from the Federal Reserve. Was their process perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. But we're in a pretty good spot, folks. We still have our economy that's growing. We still have exceptionally low unemployment. We have seen wage growth that has outpaced inflation. So people are making more and they have more money to afford more things, more lifestyle, better quality of life because wages have outpaced the costs of goods and services. Are goods and services more expensive? Yes, yes. Are those prices coming down? No, no. But neither are your wages, neither is your income. So we can all keep up, and we're not just treading water, we're a bit above. Those with assets are a good deal above, and according to Ed Yardeni on CNBC this morning, he expects S&P 7,000 next year, 7,000. That's a pretty big hop, 15% again for 2025. He thinks by certainly the end of this decade, we'll be at S&P 10,000. All right. That's still a pretty good hop in basically 5 more years. 5 more years. So prospects are good. Things are not always rosy, but geez, no matter where you are and having a good day or a bad day, I hope you can join me in finding some things for which you too are thankful. We're going to talk next week about tariffs. Tariffs are certainly taxes. But yesterday, and I really try to stay very bipartisan, nonpartisan in my comments, ladies and gentlemen, but Justin Trudeau called President-elect Trump 3 different times to have a conversation about avoiding these tariffs, made commitments to reducing fentanyl, to policing Chinese goods that were trying to circumvent their ways around Chinese tariffs. Mexico and China called and had discussions about trying to limit fentanyl shipments into this country and illegal immigration. And this one political pundit, my friend Greg Valliere, who analyzes Washington and has for decades, said, hey, Trump's having a positive effect. Positive effect. These heads of government from around the world are already responding to this threat in taking at least words, claim to be taking action. Time will tell. But for those of you who are completely anti-Trump, never, no way, no how, I understand the argument. I really do. I get it. But if there's a positive effect, let's take it. Let's be grateful for it. Let's count it among our blessings. And I've said for years, ladies and gentlemen, every American, I believe, should say a prayer for the President of the United States every day, that this is the best president, that this president will do the best job he or she could possibly do in that office for the benefit of all Americans. We never want a president of the United States to fail. If for those who don't like him, there's some good here, let's take it. For those who do like him, you're already sold, and you don't need me to tell you why. So we're going to look for brighter prospects here, brighter prospects, sunnier days, and hope that even if you don't like the methods, the results might be okay. Do the ends justify the means? No, but if there are good ends somehow for a lot of people, then I will take that. Also, remember that when the U.S. economy struggles, the bottom third really suffers. The bottom third economically really suffer. The poor and lower middle income, middle class really suffer. So we need success for at least 100 and some odd million people. It's vitally important. It doesn't affect the folks at the top. Let's pray that we all rise together, gain together, grow together, advance together, that we continue to achieve and strive for better things in this country. We have the greatest gifts. I don't think America perhaps has ever had a stronger moment in many ways than we have today at this very moment. Our banking system is sound. We are going to have a peaceful transfer of power in Washington, D.C. Once again in a couple of months here. Our finances are good. Our families are strong. Our military's strong. And maybe things in the Middle East are calming down. Maybe there's can be some progress made in Ukraine. And perhaps we can see a little bit sunnier tomorrow out there in the years ahead. I was reading from my friend Brent Scowcroft, and he said, I'm a believer, General Brent Scowcroft, wonderful man, an amazing patriot. I'm a believer in America's exceptionalism. We're a unique country, not because we're ethnically or religiously pure. We're exceptional, but because we've pursued much of the time what I call homely virtues. Homely virtues. You shouldn't expect anything that doesn't come by hard work. That you can have a better life than your parents did if you work and learn and improve yourself. And that's what we've always been taught in this country, in contrast to so many other parts of the world where you expect to live just like your parents did, expect your children to live just as you did. In America, we have our place in life, but we also have the notion that we can all do better. We have hope and a yearning for democracy. But even more so, like all people around the world, we have a yearning for dignity. People want to be treated like human beings with respect. They need to know that their rights are not being trampled on. Their portion of the national wealth is not being stolen. The American way of life, I believe, should always offer a way to achieve the dignity we long for. Isn't that marvelous? Now think about that. National Security Advisor, General, West Point, tough guy, wanted us all to have dignity and a hope of dignity, that we can stand taller, that we can be a better example, that no matter how well we're doing, there's still a better way to do it, that we can find nobility in small acts and in small things. I had one friend for many years who said, I'm not sure I'll ever achieve greatness, Michael, but I've thought about this. If during the course of every day of my life, I can give one person a reason to smile, to make them smile who would not have otherwise smiled, that when I die and face my Lord, I can say, no, I didn't move mountains. I didn't cure cancer. I wasn't able to do any of those things, Lord. But there was one person who smiled every day that I lived who wouldn't have otherwise smiled. And as humble as that may be, that's going to be my gift back to you. And I don't know if it'll be good enough. I thought that was beautiful. I really did. Think about him a lot. I wrote many years ago that America has a religion. It's noble and sacred and pure. It's carried in the hearts and souls of her citizens and is the pride and legacy of committed, self-reliant, and determined generation upon generation. America's faith is one of possibility, of hope, of longing, yearning, hard work, and in spite of intimidating, almost impossible odds, glorious triumphs. We've had glorious triumphs. America offers her fertile, self-reliant loam for fabulous imaginings that grow into steps tenaciously taken. and result in victories previously thought impossible. This faith is so pervasive that it is unwise to tell Americans they can't, because the American heart will reflexively whisper back, "Oh, yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can." America's religion is our American dream. Billy Graham talked about gratitude and gratefulness, and he said it's a recognition for all of the gifts, no matter how big or no matter how small. It's offered as a prayer, whether we can ever hope to pay any of them back or not. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to suggest here, finally, that we'll never be able to repay the gifts of our Creator or the gifts of our forefathers, the sacrifices of our military, of our grandparents and parents, but we need to say thank you. We're obliged to say thank you, and we are blessed. What a great blessing it is to be able to say thank you. I'm grateful to my God and my family and my parents, to all of my fellow Americans, to all of my clients over so many years who've become so many wonderful friends, to all of my colleagues at Farr, Miller and Washington and Hightower Advisors. Thank you, friends. Thank you, family. Thank you all. May you have a peaceful, happy, restful Thanksgiving. May God bless each and every one of you and your families, and may God bless America. Happy Thanksgiving. For Harry Jennings and from me at the FarrCast, we wish you the very best. I'm Michael Farr.
Thanks for joining us on this special Thanksgiving message from Michael Farr. We'll be back with you next week on the FarrCast with insiders from Wall Street, Washington, and the world. Have a great Thanksgiving. Farr, Miller & Washington is a group comprised of investment professionals registered with Hightower Advisors, LLC, and a SEC-registered investment advisor. Some investment professionals may also be registered with Hightower Securities, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Hightower Advisors, LLC. Securities are offered through Hightower Securities, LLC. All information referenced herein is from sources believed to be reliable. Farr, Miller & Washington and Hightower Advisors, LLC have not independently verified the accuracy or completeness of the information contained in this podcast. Farr, Miller & Washington and Hightower Advisors, LLC and any of its affiliates make no representations or warranties, expressed or implied, as to the accuracy or completeness of the information or for statements or errors or omissions or results obtained from the use of this information. Farr, Miller & Washington and Hightower Advisors, LLC and any of its affiliates assume no liability for any action made or taken in reliance on or relating in any way to the information. This podcast and the materials contained herein were created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely those of the authors and do not represent those of Hightower Advisors, LLC or any of its affiliates. Farr, Miller & Washington and Hightower Advisors, LLC or any of its affiliates do not provide tax or legal advice. This material was not intended or written to be used or presented in any way to any entity as tax or legal advice. Clients are urged to consult their tax and/or legal advisors for related questions.